think that if we have links on our website to direct them towards things that we have to offer, wildflowers in the spring, I think that we would do that. Also, I think we need to be more family friendly. I think that, you know, when you come here with your kids, you go to the casino, you take them to the arcade. There's not a lot of things you can do. As a business owner, people come into my shop all the time and they're like, well, what should we do? And I always send them to the bowling alley because that's a fun place for you to go with your kids. You can eat, they have good local deals. I think if we really market our area properly and get out there what we have to offer during every month of the year, because there's something every month of the year for people to see in Tahoe. And I feel like we're so comfortable with the shoulder season, and I'm not comfortable with it. And I think that we really need to focus on growing the population, having a positive experience for everyone when they visit here. When it's employee-based, you know, at Heavenly, you always get greeted. It feels good. You seem like you have happy people working there, and that's what people need to see when they come here, so that they want to come back. They want to have an all-time experience to tell their friends about, and I feel like we really need to get rid of the shoulder seasons. That will help us.
Tom Davis. The city can provide many things, in-kind services, for example, of some great parks and recreation. Besides the bowling alley, we got a fantastic special events, and they're starting to do events there. I do want to see special events here from May to the end of this month. And there's a lot of things, the colors. I've been taking photographs of the bears down there in Taylor Creek. That is fantastic. I don't think anywhere else in the world, or at least in California, you can see that kind of event. We need to inventory what we have. And I compliment LTVA, Hot August Nights. I have a couple classic cars. That's a home run. We need more bigger and smaller events. The city can provide in-kind services as police escorts or whatever's going to be needed. Also, if you come to the city council and it's a big home run event, we can see a direct line to increase in TUT or sales tax. I will take a hard look at that event and see if we can fund that, or at least partially fund that with accountability as that special event. But I want to see events all year. Then in the winter, I've already talked to Heavenly about bringing the World Cup back, and there's been some discussion of doing that. I used to be involved in the World Cup here years ago when I worked up at Heavenly back in the 70s. That's a wonderful event, and that's a prelude to the Olympics. So those are the kind of events I want to see back in town, and I want to see something every weekend. We got a beautiful town. I'm going out to shoot the bears, take pictures of the bears this afternoon. Again, I've shot about 400 pictures of the bears, and I got some fantastic ones. You want to see them, I got them in my briefcase. Thank you.
I'm Angela Swanson. I'd like to take a step back because there's really a question behind this question, and it has to do with some petty, I'm not going to say petty, but there are these historic resentments between where dollars go and who's represented. And I really want to dial it back even farther, and let's talk about what it really means for the city and in this notion of a reset moving forward. I believe our community will only succeed if we become true and viable partners. And that means when you hear people saying the city can do this, if you present a good idea, the message must be clear. The city is a partner in supporting the livelihoods of every citizen in this community and those that join us, and that we must succeed together. And that means partnering with LTVA. It means partnering with the Lodging Association. It means partnering with private organizations such as the Lake Tahoe Ed Foundation, on whose behalf I'm part of the committee that's planning to start a whole series of environmental and outdoor learning programs for kids starting next summer for that family-based recreation market. Those are the kinds of partnerships that we need to help us all succeed and to interweave. For the city, it is probably most appropriate for any support that goes in, whether it's financial, whether it's in kind, with LTVA in particular, to be done through those in-kind donations. But I will tell you, how many of you are at Sample de Sierra on Ski Run Boulevard? A great example of private industry, of community organizations, of the County of El Dorado, and no city participation. I was embarrassed as a resident that our city couldn't support something that was so good for locals and so good for visitors. So in all, I believe there should be support. But it needs to be done in a spirit of ongoing, real partnership that's dedicated to a vision that's to develop the visitor experience here and creating a quality opportunity for our residents.
Joy Curry. You know, I think we need to think outside the box. We need to take examples from other cities, and we need to assist LTVA in providing special events for us, because that's what makes our city work. It brings in tax dollars and TOTs. So my idea is to have an amusement fee, and that amusement fee would be on the Tahoe Queen, possibly events at the convention center, and we would be charging $1, $2 per ticket, and those fees would be basically paid by the tourists, because 90% of the people that go to on the Tahoe Queen or on events at the convention center are basically tourists. And I think this would be a great way to receive the income that we need to support LTVA and special events. You know, the budget of LTVA is approximately $4 million. And with advertising, $4 million doesn't go a long way. You know, it'll advertise for us for San Francisco, Sacramento. We need to broaden our base and market us as a world-class destination all over the world, because we do have the most beautiful place in the world for people to come in the summer for boating, in the winter for skiing, and also in the off-season we need to have people here, and we can promote our fall foliage in the spring. You know, there's just so many things that are available here. So I believe we need to think outside the box. We definitely need to be a partner with LTVA, and we can do that by funding special events or in-kind donations. And that, I think, is the solution of how we can work together as a community to promote us worldwide.
Steve Covey. You know, I'm satisfied as a former magazine publisher who's worked with a lot of these tourist boards that they do a good job and that the city is pretty well served. I wish Heavenly was doing more in the way of local World Cup events. I spoke to them last night. They assured me that they are going to start ramping that up. But let's take a look at something that is harming us and really blocking a lot of the effort that we make in trying to project positive image. We have a terrible situation in the Heavenly Village. We have people that go to try it out and they park in the Raley's parking lot, and 2 hours later they have a $50 ticket. We have people that used to use the old cinema and want to take their kids and family to the new one and are outraged at what they're being charged in the parking structure. We have a parking structure that loses $160,000 a year and no signage to direct people to it. I'd like to see 1,600 permits at $100 a year issued to local residents to cover that $160,000 shortfall and get business and people and events flowing into the Heavenly Village. I mean, the Heavenly Village, I was there the other day, it's dead. And I saw all these vacancies, and I talked to the business people, and they had nothing but complaints about it. And all of it stems from this parking problem that needs to be addressed and needs to be fixed. And so far as I can see, all we've done each year is hire a $25,000 consultant to tell us that we should raise the prices. No, we've got to stop irritating, annoying, and hassling the people that come to visit us. We have to think about what they're experiencing when they come here. They can't get parking, they get tickets, they get hassles. These are the things that we need to address as well. So it's great. I think we're doing a good job inviting everyone, but let's have something here that they can enjoy and appreciate and not go home with anger and frustration over what they've experienced.
This is classic chicken egg, isn't it? And how long have we debated it? We don't have the egg, we eliminate the chicken, right? If we slaughter the chicken, there is no egg. It's enough to make you a vegetarian, isn't it? Bottom line is that there is no wonder that there is this ongoing resentment. There was a time that the city determined to raise the TOT 2% so that that money went back to marketing. The lack of consistency in our policy in the city on our marketing plan has cost us dearly with a lot of our partners like the LTVA. That being said, going back to the chicken and egg analogy, we can't invite people here until we paint the barn. Right now, the first and foremost priority of the city is to make sure that we are up to snuff. We want to become a world-class destination. We need to have the infrastructure to do so. That being said, it is absolutely fundamental that the city realize, accept, and embrace that tourism is our fundamental engine for this economy, and that at some point in time, we need to be partners in that. It is amazing what the business community has managed without the city. The LTVA, the TID, that is essentially funding the LTVA and funding a really well-run organization. I think that's commendable. I also believe very strongly that the city needs to participate in kind, whether police, whether garbage disposal, for big events that invite tourists here. So we need to think of ourselves as a resort area and act accordingly.
Okay, this one will start with Angela, go around clockwise. And the question is, citizens are concerned about enforcement and a sense of standards for cleanliness and common sense trash containment around town. What do you propose as solutions to rid our city of blight, both commercial and residential?
That's a big question.
A lot of
Obviously,
trash.
we won't be able to cover everything with that, but let's talk, I'll just pick one small piece. And that really does go to some of the issues with trash collection. And I wish South Tahoe Reppers was here so we could really have a discussion of this. Because I know just in the building I'm in, and as I travel along streets, particularly in the Eloise corridor, one of our problems is as you drive along it or walk along there, is the garbage is out front, the big commercial containers. And it's, when you look at it, it's unsightly, it's smelly, it's awkward to deal with. And I know STR's position is they can't effectively pick it up if we actually try to cage in those areas and hide them or move them to another area, location on our property. I think we have to be more realistic about dealing with that and revisit it and find some safe, sane middle ground that won't put STR out of business, but will also allow us to make an improvement on it. That's one of those approaches to little b blight, those small indignities that go on in all of our neighborhoods that run down the quality of the infrastructure. It's not the infrastructure, let's be real. It's the homes, it's the businesses and how they look. So that's where we need to start with some of our change and being able to tackle those problems one piece at a time. The other way we start dealing with blight is by making programs work that we have. One of the other issues that had come up around here was talking about the first-time buyers program. A friend of mine is for the city doing the lead paint abatement, which is for some of our most rundown properties where homeowners are. No one will even talk to her about doing it because they're afraid to work with the city. I mentioned this not to walk away from the issue of dealing with blight, dealing with trash, but when you have a community and when you have homeowners and business owners that are afraid to talk to or work with the city because they don't trust them, that's one of those places we have to start as we're trying to concretely make improvements into our properties and to get cleanup, to even get them to think about what they're going to do different about placement of disposal containers. You have to build with trust. Right? That's one of those underlying pieces a new council must immediately start to deal with to make effective real change.
Thank you, Tom Davis. A couple things we can do with refugees. They're not going broke, by the way. It's mandatory pickup. And I'd love to have that kind of a business in a recession. One thing I did with a refuge company here recently, and there are a lot of the refuge big bins sitting out in apartments as I go down Glenwood to my house. I think we need to get the refuge company to maintain those a little better, to get dented and banged up and faded, replace the dumpsters. However, I got another program I want to look at, I talked about before. As you see on Highway 50, we've had some youth go out and paint some of these